Members of BFW, what is up? This is Pepto-Bismol, your great leader, casting you only the greatest hits from our war versus clandestine ops. First of all, the pleasantries. Hail Lord Bear, hail the great leader, he is eternal, and his will shall always be done through the glory of BFW. Alright team, let's get down to this recap. This was a tough one. I think we played really hard. We got the defensive stops we wanted, and I think we just weren't punching entirely where we needed to be. They were also a very strong offensive team, and we had some good holds. It was definitely within reach, but it was hard to anticipate coming down the stretch. And so let's go ahead, take a look at the defensive stands first. Again, pretty decent job up top. Thomas, Duran G, Halby, and myself, all holding on for no 3 stars. Duran and me getting pretty close. And of course, Halby and I both eating their number 1 F6. So good job there. Zero grind with a very strong base, absorbing 3 hits. Captain 2-star. I think what we see from the Konar Blood folks is that they're all very strong defensively. Joe Pavo, G-Force also with some great defensive stands there. Ryan as well. Special shout out to Ryan and Igor, who did outstanding. I would say Igor is probably the defensive all-star of the game with the lowest non-3-star, absorbing 4 hits and just absolutely being a bear to deal with all around. So, looks like that work in the challenge game is really paying off. And those were the defensive stops that we wanted. So we got those, but we weren't able to convert in terms of our hits. So let's take a look, at what happened at the end here. We got in all of our hits kind of at the last minute, and mad respect to everybody for participating. Again, participation has been very high. This is exactly what we want to see. So I think really the last significant hit of the game comes down to Ryan versus Vivek Rocks. And Ryan, big shout out, again, that ruggedly handsome pharmacist, hitting from his friend's wedding. I couldn't tell from the text message chain if it was a renewal of vows or if they were actually getting married. But it seemed like a pretty significant event, so congratulations to Ryan and his friends. And again, we appreciate your commitment to BFW. As some members may recall, when the clay was first getting underway, back in Fellowship, I dropped a hit from Mexico during my honeymoon, and that was pretty much the most committed I ever was. My wife was at the beach at the time, and so here we go. Ryan going with a standard Buller Witch healer. Gets good penetration there, gets a good CC pull. Overall this hit's flowing really well. A lot of his bowlers get melted kind of towards the middle. That air sweeper attrition is actually pretty big, and so I think more than anything else, when you pick your bowler direction to swing, going away from the air sweeper is a big deal, because those extra time that the healer needs to move back and reabsorb that hit can really be crucial. So the next thing here that I wanted to point out is that his pathing is pretty good. His second jump placement is interesting. I think he was going for the quad corner, but doesn't quite get that other compartment, and unfortunately I think it comes back to haunt him a little bit. His troops will kind of circle around up the left top, and then he's got enough heat. And then he just runs out of time. So again, Ryan, this is a really well thought out hit. I think really with just like a couple minor tweaks, it could have gotten there. But honestly, this was a very challenging base. When you see this super weird wall pattern, but with good distribution of defenses, it's always very challenging. And so, certainly it's always hard to lose these 50-50 battles, but I think we kept it close. This hit absolutely had the strength to close it out. But just didn't have enough time. So, but again, totally a viable hit going forward. I really wouldn't change too much about that. So let's go ahead and take a look. Halby, again, doing a great job offensively. I think really our offensive all-star there, with 2 3-stars and one of the most beautiful hits that I've seen in a long time. This is Halby versus Doug. Doug's getting featured a lot here, both his base and his attack on Ryan. But here we go. Halby attacking this base with basically a Lavalunian loadout, and he's got his baby drag clearing out one side, so trying to get his queen to go, kind of in a counterclockwise motion. Gets his queen exactly where he wants it. King comes down, and here he's long-sided on the CC pull, so this is going to be a very, very tricky CC pull for Halby, but he's going with the Lavalunian because he feels like that's the best way to counter these kind of isolated Inferno towers with that double air sweeper lock. So this one could be really interesting. There we go. Rage comes in, preserving his queen pop, and again, I would always encourage you to use the rage first. The queen pop is a much easier thing to use. It's a much easier, you just push the button and then the queen is safe. The rage spell takes a little more timing, it takes a little more dedication, a little bit more attention, and so if things are getting hot and heavy on a different side of the attack and you've deployed your main army, it's a lot harder to trigger an appropriate rage, unless you have the good APMs. Another thing that I'll say is, Queen Walk is just so overpowered in the current meta. I think you should be definitely focusing on high-level Queen, much more so than King. And in addition to that, you should sprinkle a Queen Walk into your standard attacks, your loot hits. I run a Giant Wizard Archer loot hit, and I Queen Walk because you gotta stay sharp, you gotta keep with the practice. They do tend to tweak her pathing, and so, it's not always the same. There's a lot of stuff under the hood that they just don't talk about. And I think the Queen Walk pathing is a big thing. All of a sudden, you'll see her taking different breaks or diving into walls when you weren't expecting it. But anyway, so Halby then drops those double loons that you saw coming in the top, and they were just perfect. He didn't want to waste too many loons because he knew they were just going to be a sack for the CC pull, and he gets the dragon pull. Obviously, the bigger troops come out first, and then he has a perfect loon deployment around with a delayed haste and double rage in the middle to make sure he takes out those Inferno towers. Again, this attack was very well thought out, truly excellent. And he uses the rage to overcome the air sweepers there. The air sweeper's taking a big toll on his loons. He's got one more rage left to go over that multi-mortar, but all in all, this was a very well thought out hit. The minions come in to clean up, and he really just uses his troops perfectly. He doesn't have too many lava hounds so that he can have the loons for cleanup. Or the minions for cleanup. He uses just enough loons. The rages come down perfectly. The haste comes down perfectly. He's got a poison left over, actually just showing off a little bit. And so, I can't say enough good things about this hit. He almost missed it on the CC pull, but he gets exactly what he wants. And in the end with that double loon pull, so, congrats, Halby. You absolutely get the hit of the war there. Of course, highest 3-star gets a preview, and that will definitely go to me. I was pretty excited about this hit. So here we go, rocking a Queen Walk from the left, from the 9 o'clock position. My goal was to kind of go for the clean 2-star, potentially getting the 3-star. This is a pretty standard bowler walk, but I feel good because I have a good sense of where his giant bombs are going to be. Usually, if you short side your CC, you kind of load it with traps. That's what we've seen. That's what Thomas's hit showed us. And right here, I do an early jump. I'm able to nuke the king. I swing into the short-sided CC. Now, the one thing about this hit that I really was proud of myself for was that I layered my bowler deployment, right? So there you can see I still have my bowlers. I still have my CC full of bowlers left over. You really only need 5 bowlers to a stack with rage to really get things rolling. And again, you become incredibly vulnerable to double giant bomb, triple giant bomb, air sweeper if you overstack your bowlers. And you don't need 20 bowlers in a stack. You're basically just asking to get AoE'd. But the clutch of this hit was when I magic booked through those double giant bombs in the middle, and then I had just tons of forces left to rage through the rest. Here, you get great coverage with your rage spells, so don't stack them too much. The clipping is very, very generous, and your troops get like a little rage bonus even if they're passing through the radius of the spell. if they pass through, they still get lingering rage for like a couple seconds. But here I've got multiple healers, I've still got my queen, and then I can just power through the rest of these defenses. If you keep your healers alive during one of these hits and you just have to clean out one of these boxes, you know, it's super easy, you don't have to stress. Here I was freaking out a little bit because my queen, because the healers didn't transition over to my queen appropriately. So I had to waste my queen ability a little bit early, but as you can see, I had more than enough left. They had no point defenses. You know, I had warden, multiple healers, and a whole bunch of random troops. So, you know, I think those are the things that went well for this hit. And again, what I saw was that I was expecting that double giant bomb up top. I was able to wait until my bowlers got into the middle to preserve the middle bowlers, because once you get bowlers into their core, I mean, you can take out 75% of their base easy. And so kudos to me. Again, great hit there. Let's see, that's another Halby. Who we got coming up? Let's feature some other folks. Some Jopavo, some Ryan. Here's Igor. Igor playing as V-Dog, hitting up. So this is a fairly challenging base. And, you know, what we see here is Igor going with low-level bowlers and relatively low-level witches, which is something you don't see every day, but you know, no Infernos and a decent level queen, and he's actually using his brother's account, V-Dog, there. So let's see here. He gets a great CC pull, so he anticipates that nicely. And again, what we see is a defensive inefficiency, you know, at the level of the clan castle, right? You can pop the CC with the queen walk, and anytime you can do that, it's well worth the spells. So he's got 4 spells left, 2 rage, 2 heal, and he's gonna try to execute this bowler walk. And get super nasty. So king comes down. You know, it's a little early, but I think that's a fairly minor point. I guess he just doesn't want the healers to be absorbing, to be targeting the king. All right, so giants in the CC. That's an interesting move. That's a spread meat shield as opposed to like a golem or something. Okay, there we go. Bowlers coming in, and there are the healers. There's the rage. Now, so what I will say about this rage is he's kind of anticipating. He's using his meat shield to get his bowlers and healers into position, and you know, that's a nice little technique right there. You know, sometimes with the bowler healer walks at the higher level, you need to make sure the healers are raged when you drop the spell, because you know, otherwise you're gonna lose healing and you're gonna lose bowlers to attrition because of the high point defenses. But in this case, you know, Igor's kind of anticipating that he will be able to rage and kill the buildings fast enough as he sweeps in, so that he doesn't need to worry about you know, losing that many bowlers. And you know, obviously that gamble kind of pays off. He had the meat shield down, which was a good technique, and then he was able to rage. You know, he kind of missed on that second jump there. You know, a couple bowlers bid on it, but not everybody. But the nice thing is, with these guys, they were able to rage to the middle, and then, you know, pop out, kill enough stuff, and then pop out the side, so that, you know, as he circles back to clear out these final compartments, it looks like it's going to be easy peasy. So, and he's got the healers, so he doesn't really have to worry. You know, if you have healers, as I mentioned before, if you have healers left going into these final compartments, you know, you can just lock and load. There's nothing really to be scared of with this kind of a setup. His queen doesn't have the ability, but you know, she on her own can power through a couple point defenses, like maybe like a cannon and an archer tower, and this guy's basically only got an archer tower left. So great hit. Igor pulling double duty here, playing V-Dog and Igor. You know, really good job there. Just want to again emphasize the strength of participation that we have had. It's really made the difference. You know, we've been blown out of a couple wars in the last couple months, and that never feels good. And it's mostly because we're leaving 16, 17 hits on the table. So let's go ahead and take a look at Konar Blood, kind of one of these spread out, you know, Battle of Agincourt battles where it's like sequential walls coming in. Or no, maybe that wasn't Agincourt. It was the Julius Caesar fight. Neither here nor there. Some military historians can correct me. All right, so here we go with Konar Blood, basically showing off lots of different techniques here. So he's going with his Queen Walk CC healer, which is always fascinating. I love it when he does that. And so he He uses the loons to try to get some air defenses, but they end up not firing, and he's able to clear out this whole area. And he queen walks all the way to the CC pole. So great planning there. Interesting use of freeze. I think freeze on the CC is totally viable. People use it all the time. Poison is also good, but to each their own. I think if he decided to go with a double quake, and so what's the point of having like two poisons there? And I think that quake, there's a lot of debate, like, do you go quake, do you go jump? I think it just depends on how you're leveled. I think overall, the jump pathing is a little bit funkier than one might expect. I've definitely had some issues with it. I think overall quake provides that better natural pathing, and you can pre-play the quake much earlier than you can pre-play the jump. But anyway, here come the Valks, and he is taking some heavy attrition from that air defense there, and most of his healers are gone, but he does have 2 healing spells left. This guy doesn't have Infernos, and the Queen has taken out 50% of the base. So the key is going to be getting those Valks into the core, because the Tesla box is going to be a little bit of a challenge for this. But his heroes are very high level. His king is gigantic and can basically take out half the space on his own running free, since there aren't any walls. There we go. So heal goes down, gets value on the Queen, gets value on the Valks. Very patient, very delayed with the heal, very patient with the spells overall, which is something that I think you need to do with these kind of big spread out bases, right? If the point defenses are spread out, you don't need to pop your spells. You wait for your troops to take a little bit of hits from the AoE, and then you use your spells. So this hit, definitely could have gone wrong. Konar Blood, very patient, very well thought out, patient with the spells, delayed heals. I love it. It was perfect. All right, here we go. Zero grind, dropping the Justice on Dr. House, aka the doctor with the fewest number of patients and lightest clinical load I've ever met. So here we go, zero grind. How did he pull that CC? I didn't even see it, but anyway, it was very effective there. Unfortunately, he's going up against a Lava Hound. I think he did a Hog. Oh no, he did a Sneak Archer wall breaker, looks like. So he wall breakered the clan castle, and then Queen is able to drop down those pups with help of some wizards. He's got some archers kind of sneaking in because he notices that most of the point defenses are pulled towards the middle. Overall, looks like a good multi-stage attack here, and now he's able to short side himself on the town hall with the Queen, because he was able to get a good short-sided CC pull. All right, so here come the Bowler's King. Bowlers in the CC, again, always a nice choice for the lower levels if you're able to protect them. As I mentioned before, that 5 bowler stack is incredibly potent, and can get the job done, especially against these lower bases. They might as well be, dropping nukes. All right, so he's got the path he wants. The Valks come in. Golem comes down too. Great jump right into the middle. Double jump, setting up a massive Valk Rage here, and it fires like a dream. Those Valks, again, Valk Rage, very effective. He doesn't even go heal. This guy's a maverick. Uses the Golem effectively to tank. Valks get great penetration throughout, and they just rip through this base like it's nothing. Again, Valk Rage, very effective. When they get between 2 or 3 buildings, a 4 stack of Valks can basically just pop any point defense. Overall, getting great value, transitioning his healers back and forth between the Valks. Looks like he anticipated the pathing kind of throughout there, getting good stuff with the Queen, along that right side, and then pretty much anticipating and setting his jumps on the left so that the Valks can clean out the left. Take a moment to absorb the subtleties of the pathing, because that's pretty much what makes or breaks the hit. Zero Grind was anticipating his Queen Walk would go wipe out one side, and then he sent his troops to the other side to do the most of the work there. Gets the exact result we want, and a great hit overall. All right, any other hits here? All the classics from our good friends down low. Oh, I don't think we've casted a Lieutenant Dan hit yet. I think it's just nice to just to look at these bases and just fuck around a little bit. I mean, like look at this dude, HVH6. I mean, this is obviously the guy's alt account. Maybe his 6th alt account. I mean, look, this base is ridiculous, right? He's got this mega quad wall. He's got he's got the queen outside. And so we got Lieutenant Dan showing big lightning, trying to nuke down the X-bows in preparation for a dragon rage. So I'll go ahead and say this, Lieutenant Dan. It looks like you did all the work up front, right? Like, you picked a good attack pattern. You picked a good attack strat. I would have gone heal rage over lightning, but I mean, to each their own. Lightning is super fun. It's definitely one of my favorite spells in Clash Royale. So here we see the dragons coming in, and this guy's basically got no air defense. He's probably got central Teslas, like, let's face it, for these stupid bases, they always have these weird trap layouts. But there's not going to be too much that he can do against like a mega dragon rage here. So I think we're going to see these like super weird manicured bases. Like, this is like beyond manicured, right? Like, this is like a min-max base. Yeah, there we go. Tesla box pops, but I mean, I'm pretty confident here that Lieutenant Dan's got more than enough dragons to get to deal with this bad boy. Oh, and look at that, they're all focusing on the Hound while the Loon goes to town. So again, excellent hit. I think all the prep work was done, before this hit even got underway. So great job by Lieutenant Dan, cleaning up at the bottom, exactly what we need. Good participation throughout means we don't have to drop down to clean up hits, meaning we can focus on getting the 3 stars that we need. So he basically like almost loses 1 dragon, but has an entire force left over. Great planning, great work by Lieutenant Dan. Good stuff. It wasn't quite the result that we wanted, but I mean, we'll get there. We're gonna keep grinding with these 50-50 shots, and we definitely had the win within our grasp, no question. Good effort, everyone. Still looking for a war leader for tomorrow, but enjoy the time off. Good hunting. Pepto out.